Hey everyone, Marsh from Consequence here. Time to go over Raszageth. This is going to be a long video, so stick with me, and I'm going to try to break it up into sections so you can skip around. Also, please subscribe to the channel. I'm getting kind of close to 1,000 subscribers, and that'd be kind of a cool goal to get. But let's just jump right into it. So Raszageth is the ultimate prep boss, and these videos are meant for, raid leader how to prep the raid. And if you do not prep the raid, you will end up pulling this boss 500 or 600 times. That's just a fact. The hardest parts of this fight is currently with the current tuning. So what I'm going to show you is right after the first nerf, which it wasn't actually that big of a nerf. The spark nerf was kind of big, but we'll go over that when we get there. But the hardest phase right now, in my opinion, is P1. Or, sorry, P1 Intermission. So P1 Intermission is probably the hardest phase of the fight right now, followed by probably P1, then P3, then P2, then P2 Intermission. But we're going to go everything. So before we get into the VODs, I'm going to open up this spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet, the guild is going to make it public. We basically pulled information from our other spreadsheet on Raszageth and put it here. Might be adding the healer CDs in a separate spreadsheet later, but again, every healing comp is different, so it's kind of weird to give you guys CDs. But so currently, what you're going to see here is you're going to see two iterations. You're going to see multiple tabs. So you're going to have a DPS CDs tab here. This is going to track every single cooldown that is going to be used on the entire fight. Now, these timers are not going to be accurate anymore, so you're going to have to update this because we are using different timers for the majority of our prog. And we're going to go over these in more detail in the VOD. What you see here is this is going to be the wins plan. So every single person had a plan for wins. Granted, this might not be 100% accurate because once we did polls, people changed things. But this was our initial plan on what to do. So that is going to be very important on living. And you can see that eventually we end up skipping the 5th set with the nerfs, but again, I'll go over that. This is going to be the spark CCs for each one of the sparks. Again, this column is skipped now with our current strategy, but you can move things around and to your certain raid, and we'll go over why all these are important enough. This is extremely strong macro that you need to use. It's the instant dollars macro. They tweeted it out. Very, very good. And then this tab here is just extra resources, and we're going to be going over a lot of these things throughout the video. So first we're going to talk P1. And again, this is not me. I was 21st manning this boss as the other hunter, and it's just easy for me to review his VODs because I play the class. So P1 used to be probably the hardest phase, and with the nerfs it made it a lot easier and pretty consistent. So what you're going to see initially here is they're actually going to drag the boss off to the side and then turn him a little. You'll see in a second. Yep, they're going to move him. They're going to move him. Good. So that's just what you're going to want to do with the boss every single time. Now, the main mechanic of this fight, there's a few main mechanics of this phase. The first one that comes out here is this bomb mechanics. You'll see in our ERT note that we are using the liquid order to do a priority list. So every priority list is going to be different, and you can see it in the note here. You might be able to get a full list from another VOD that I pull up because he has it blocking a little. But, the idea is that, you want to have, you'll explain it in the week lore, but, being at the top means that you go a certain way, or being at the bottom means you go left or right. I don't remember which one's which, but one's left, one's right. And then in the middle, if you're in the middle, you'll be more in the middle. So you want certain players to be baited to certain sides, ideally who have limited mobility or whatever, healers, etc. So our disc priests was probably at the bottom of this list, and they wanted to go right every single time, ideally, or near the bottom. So, you got to look at that and make decisions for your own raid. We changed this quite a few times on our first night of Prague. But this bomb mechanic is going to come out, and what you're going to see here is you're going to see 3 players go out. Now, this mechanic has been nerfed by 15%, so it's like very easy is the wrong word, but way more forgiving. And you're going to notice that the boss is going to breath. They actually breathed either like a DK or like the player with the bomb over there. So you just have to watch the breath, very important. And they blow up. You don't have to go super far or anything, but they do have fall off damage. So the second thing here is going to be the sparks. Alright? So, or the volatile current, really. So what you're going to see here is in our spark CCs, this might not have been final, but this is what was planned, is, these are the things that are going to be used by each player to handle the sparks. Now, when we did this, they had 4 stacks. The day, I think we killed it on Tuesday or what. Anyway, it got nerfed and we killed it very quickly. But now it has 3. But if you go to this extra resources tab, we should have a raid plan in here that will, P1 spark positions. Show the P1 spark positions. Again, this is going to be public. But again, this is what we do. And you basically want to assign players to certain spots. Alright? So, melee close to the boss, certain classes stacking. What you'll notice here is our druids are on the outside, so they can like typhoon in and like do druid things out there. So you really got to think about how you're going to structure your raid and who's good and what, and separate your CCs depending on your comp. And then using that macro for your shamans and mages to just spam purge the remaining ones. So going back, what you'll see here is you'll see everyone get into their position. Alright, and go. Now, you do not want to overthink this mechanic, like getting into position. So, yes, getting into your set position is really nice. It really is. But let's say you had a bomb, right? It's not worth it for you to just run over 3 people or gateway in or something to like get on your stack partner. Just literally take it on the outside. Actually, I don't even know who this is, but like, let me play it. So someone's gonna run in here late. This looks like a warlock or something maybe, but like maybe he had a stack partner, maybe he didn't. But like, why would he like if he was supposed to stack here or something? Why would he run like all the way here? Just chill on the outside. Someone will cover it. So that's what we do. Now the Hurricane Wings. Again, these are going to acquire sets for everything. So what you'll see here in our Raz Wind plan is that every single one has a certain assignment. And I had each player sit down. Well, I like set it up for them, but then I got their opinion on it of like, this is what we're going to do for this situation exactly. And, they might have altered a little. But there is a few important things we'll go over with the winds, but this is, how it was set up. So one thing to note out of the winds is there's a breath. Very, very, very important. Like critically, like if you're going to take away like 1 or 2 things from P1, this is going to be one of them. So this arrow on the boss is telling you where the breath's going. Like like look at his position here. How hard is it for him to see where this breath is? What he's doing is he's got his eyes right here, looking at this arrow. He knows it's going right here. Look, he moves right. He didn't even have to look at the boss. So you look at that arrow every single time, and that's how you determine where the breath's coming. You need to get that in the mind of your raiders on like pull 1 to make it work. If not, they're just gonna be like trying to look at the boss and like move their camera and just die. And also sometimes it's like misleading because you're in the back of the room and you don't really know like where the breath's going. So just like always look at that arrow. So this is a pretty standard one here. And now he's gonna get front left. And you'll see like his positioning here. He's like far, but he's not like that far or anything, right? So he's just gonna drop off and he's gonna come in. And now you're going to get your breath here, and again, look at the arrow. But it's a little easier when you're in front of the boss. But now, so this is a weak aura, by the way, that we had everyone in our raid use. You can like set up like a planner that shows you a weak aura on what you're going to use for the win set. So like, he has his gate, but like sometimes for someone else it might be something else. And you'll see it throughout the fight. So this one here, you're going to want to gate into your spark spots, because if you look at these timers, look how close these are, right? So we go, you're going to get pushed back, you're going to gate, and then you're going to get to your spots. And again, if you're like all the way in the back, just chill out here. Like, don't feel the need to just bully your way in. It is not worth it. You know, you get to your spot, and you're clearing. Single purgers, good. Then you get bombs with a breath. All right, so this kills a lot of people. You just do the sparks, you get the bombs, and you get a breath. Look at this arrow. All right, this player and this player are in danger a lot here because they're not, or like basically all the players. But in this situation, I'd say these two are a little in danger because they might not be paying attention exactly where this is going. But you're gonna look at that and make sure you're not getting breathed. But now you got some uptime on the boss. You're just chilling. But see, the pushback is coming. Cheetah is his weak aura. Well, he uses it twice. It's kind of funny. But Cheetah's going to be the one he uses. Now, critically, with the changes to the boss, and you could do this pre-nerf, but it's way easier now post-nerf, you're going to skip the 5th wins. Absolutely critically, you do that. I advise 100% of guilds proing the boss to skip 5th wins. If you can't skip 5th wins, you do not have the damage to kill the boss. Realistically, you just have to be able to do that. It makes it so much more consistent. So initially, though, the strat, if you're not skipping 5th wins, it would be like bring 2 evokers for time spirals to help classes like warlocks and others to like use their abilities to live more. We still had 2 evokers, but like this would be, you know, an opportunity for one of the time spirals, or maybe use it on the 4th one if you have 1 evoker, probably on the 4th one. But I don't really know the 1 evoker strat that well, but anyway, you'll see a time spiral assigned here, and we're going to go. That he's going to Cheetah, but someone like the Warlock is going to want the time spiral to double port. So, we get good. He comes back, and now we have bombs with sparks. This is the first, I would say, hard-ish combo with the phase. Let me try to fix the quality of this video. Sorry about this. But this is going to be close bombs with sparks, all right? So he's going back, which is fine because I know what he's going to do. He's just going to solo his bomb. But the idea is to have your the close-ish bombs, because the spark cast comes instantly, so you usually want like an extra like DR or something there, and then you get your sparks in. But you're going to see, like, this is an example of not panicking, okay? So this is like a little carry play that he did. You don't have to do this, by the way. This is just like something that he did that he found consistent when he got this combo. He's like, okay, I know it's close bombs with sparks. These guys are pretty close. These are in the right spots. He should be up here if he was following the call, but what he's going to do is he's going to stay back here and solo it. So he's reducing the raid damage, and again, this was nerfed by 15%, so it mattered more before the nerf. But he's just going to go in, and he's going to solo it, and we're good. Every single time. Like, again, you don't have to panic. Like, just be like, okay, like, I'm a little out, that's cool. And if you're a class you can't solo it, then just call for help. Someone will get you. Just say there's one extra one in the middle of the room. And like a mage will turn and get it in like 2 seconds. So anyway, we have pushback 4 here, and there's going to be a breath out of this. This is where our other time spiral would go. And, you know, now we're getting back. There's the breath, and then we have another bombs. And now we have another breath, and what we're doing now is you'll hear in our comms is like stop damage, stop damage, stop damage, stop damage. The boss pushes at 65%. Pre-nerf, we could have done this pre-nerf, but it would have been a little inconsistent because we did the boss so long before. But now it was basically free. Is The boss push at 65%. In the past, what happened, you have to do fifth winds. You get knocked back on fifth winds, you'd have to get in the middle, do sparks in the middle of the room, then you give up bombs with a breath in the middle of the room. That's the last overlap. And we were pretty good at it. But now what you do is you push the boss here, and you want to milk this fifth pushback. Because what you're doing is you're waiting for healer cooldowns. And so they're waiting, and you see we made a weak gore that's like push in whatever seconds. So we push once he starts casting the winds mechanic, and we push during the cast, and that gets us out of P1. So just looking at the DPS CDs, what you're going to see, again, these timers are not right. You're going to have to update these. But what you're going to see is, I have a note here that says skip pushback 5, you hold 2 minutes. So pretty nerf, you just send 2 minutes twice. But now with skipping the winds, you just send 2 minutes once and you hold them, because you're going to need them in the next part, which is the hardest part of the fight. So that's P1. And now we're going to go into the fun part of P1 Intermission. So one thing to note, these runes on the ground, that tells you what side it is. Not everyone knows that, but that's what they basically mean. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, with the sparks, a really good strategy early on is to set markers down for people to orient around themselves, and you can pull them off later. So anyway, we can start with, we'll start with red side. So each side is a little different and requires a lot of pre-raid setup and execution, and we've modified this a few times. This, again, maybe things are slightly different from the kill pool, but this was like our initial plan, and this was like our plan up to like the last few nights when it got more consistent. So what you'll see here is you'll see ads 1, and then you'll see CDs. So you'll see warrior, all CDs, meta, staff, cooldowns, small tyrant. Okay? So that's a lot on the first set, and there's reasons for that, but we'll go over that. And now there's a Kix and Shadow Fury by the Warlock to stun them, and we're going to go over that too. So basically the goal of red side is to kill or break a shield on a Herald and then kick it. So we had the tank can do the kicking every single time, but these cooldowns are meant to break the shield and then like clean up everything. So we're going to go to a VOD now. But actually, I'll go talk about the rest of this. So this is ads 2, meta, Dragon Rage, boon, tank stuff, and ads 3, warrior, Grief Torch, like just killing the shield. Grief Torch, extremely good on this fight. Like it is the most broken trinket in the game on this fight. So the more you have, the better. In fact, I don't know if our tank used a torch or not. He might have used it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So go to VOD. There's going to be also multiple things you have to know in this phase. There is 2 combinations of breaths that happen, and each side needs to be able to execute 2 different scenarios and steps on how to handle the breath. Alright? So we're going to go over red side first, and then we're going to go over blue side. Blue side's a little harder, but let's look at the comp. So, red side has a DPS warrior, a Havoc Demon Hunter, a Evoker DPS, Windwalker Mage, Warlock Hunter, and a warrior tank. Okay? That's good comp for this side. Now, the blue side is the actual comp that sets the pace of what your other side is actually going to be. But the blue side's mechanic is that an ad will do a cast and will put a healing absorb on everyone. That's like really, it's a big healing absorb. And on the second set of ads, you actually want to kill the ad before it does that cast. So you want a lot of little burst classes to kill it really quickly. So you'll see like, an enhancement shaman AGing is extremely strong. Nature's Vigil pretty strong. Uh, the our gear D, our most gear DH doing killing the zealot, rogue killing the zealot, a mage doing things on the other two ads that aren't the one on the zealot, and then we have an evoker healer with the staff making sure it's used on the zealot. So we'll go over that in a bit, but this is very specific. Like the comps actually matter a lot. But going over red side, this should be red side first breath. Yeah. So again, so what's going to happen here is that the boss is going to be RNGing a certain side to pick first. Now what you're going to know is first thing here is that people are using Shadowlands engineering with the boots. And watch the shield. Alright, so you're doing damage to the shield before it happens. One thing you'll note is, look at the mini-map. There's one mage, and I think, the mage and the warlock are standing out there. And you can actually see their little animation of the hit here, because they're using the boots too. They're just for full damage reduction, but also very important. But they're out here. But yeah, you want to use the boots for either full damage reduction or to do damage to the shield. But we have the warlock and the mage land on the outside because the breath is always going to target the largest clump of players. All right. So them two being on the outside will not target the breath at them. Now there is weird interactions where it'll be like, okay, the largest clump of players is like here, but like you can play around that. So, or technically it'd be here, but again, you can play around that. So what's going to happen here is this group's going to land, and they're going to group up. And now in comms, we're saying, okay, look for first breath. When these spawn here, the tank needs to pick these up. And there's a few things going on. We have an auto marker that marks ads that need kicks. All right. These kicks are assigned in this weak aura here. So, blue has, a DH and then a hunter. Moon has a warrior, then the evoker. Green has a windwalker and then a mage. These casts absolutely shred. Like they can just, we call it like they can just like destroy you in like 2 hits. So having like set CC on them is extremely important, which is why you also saw that Shadow Fury there. So anyway, what's going to happen here in comms, we're saying, okay, ramp on the Herald. Okay, so if you have any ramping damage, you need to get dots up. You need to like generate resource, or like you just need to like get in a position to do as much damage to this Herald as possible. So. And you ramp. Herald's going to come up. And they're going to kill the shield. Now, you'll see that he didn't target the shield. That's actually okay, but that's just class specific. But what we have here, early prog, he probably was targeting it. But if you go back here, okay, what does this group have? All cooldowns, meta, staff, CDs, surge, small tyrant, ravager. That's a lot. So that's going to die every single time. The shield. Once the shield goes, then you want to focus on the small ads. So let's watch that again. We're waiting for breath. Notice breath. Now you look at the timer. Okay, also very important. 4 seconds. This is from the liquid pack. 4 seconds, you can start moving. The breath's already picked. Like you can go. So once you see that, you go. You don't even think twice. And you go. Now, notice what happens here. They actually go back and clean up these small ads. You do not want to move to the next pack. You can try to drag them with you, but you need to keep these kicks under control at all costs. And what you'll see here is we like tried to assign like Shadow Fury and stuff like after a potential breath. So like that breath, I don't know if he actually ended up Shadow Furying or not, but that would have been the plan, to have him Shadow Fury there to make sure that they didn't get a cast off. And yeah, I saw Lex Sweep out there too. So anyway, that's what you got to do. Keep them under control. Now the next thing is what you're going to see here is this is the first of 2 sequences. So the boss breath the other side, which is the blue side. All right, and the red side breath is coming soon. Some guilds just bull rush this down. I don't really agree with that on prog. Maybe with a ton of gear you can just get away with it. But what we're doing here is we're not breaking the shield, and we're waiting for the breath to bait the breath so that they can break the shield, and then break the herald shield with no breath. So you'll see here is you'll see like some of the range like kind of chipping away at the shield just a little. And once they get 4 seconds, they see this, they go, and you'll see this baited, not on the ad. Alright? And you only want to do that bait when you are get the first breath on the side. We'll go over both scenarios. This is breath 1 on red side. So anyway, they're ramping on Herald, and they're going to break the shield with the assigned cooldowns in that other sheet. And getting the kicks, because those will absolutely truck. Now, one thing to note is look at this positioning. Okay? These, like, don't overthink them. They don't do that much damage. Get close to the raid. 2 people could be here. 2 people could be here. But you don't want to be, like, all the way over here. That's just not useful. Unless you're the Warlock or the Mage on the first set and you're using your CDs in, you're standing out because of it. Other than that, just be close. Also notice there's only 1 healer on this side. That's intentional, because the other side has a healing absorb. It's always the H-Pal on this side. So they're staying, and they're just cleaning these ads up. They already broke the shield and the herald. They're cleaning up, cleaning up, cleaning up. And again, they're going to bait the breath here, and then they're going to move. And now the ads are being dragged in, which is good. They're going to break. The breath was baited away. And they're ramping on the herald. And look at these positions. See, 1 guy's mid, 1 guy's there. This is good. This is actually very, very good. Now, one thing to note is they're trying to, since the breath targets the biggest clump of players, look at how tight this positioning is. There's no one over here. You'll bait the breath over here. You want to stack on this side. Look at this. So when they do get the breath, eventually we got so good at prog, like sometimes we would just skip this. But they just sidestep it. And good. That's it. Done and done. We're going up. Also, knockbacks, extremely good, which is why druids are also good on the other side. But like knockbacks from Invoker or Ring or whatever is really, really, really good. So keep that in mind. So that is the first scenario on the red side. Scenario 2 on the red side. What happens if we get breath second? So breath second, again, we're gonna, let's just go slow. Let's look at this setup. Warlock and Mage are out using their cooldowns. That's okay. That's by design. Boots are active to reduce fall damage. And we're gonna break. And again, we're looking for the first one. Ramping on the Herald. And oh, look, first breath on blue. Okay, we're just chilling now. So now what's going to happen is they just leave them here, and they're just AoEing them down. And the breath is going to come down right here, and you're just moving. Breath's there, you break next shield, and now you're on a fast pace. Break, 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 because you want to be ahead of the breath. So now we're going to ramp on the Herald to break the shield. Getting the kicks, very important. Break, 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 break. This is about the bait. Baits now. Look at the knockbacks. Look at the knockbacks get the breath. And those casts, extremely dangerous. What's happening here? That could have killed someone. Look at the chunks. That's 2 casts. And he was tops. But they're going to go back, and look how they go back. Instantly they knew, oh my god, there's ads that didn't get over here. I need to go back and kill them so they just don't chain cast. But go back, kill, move. Now, this is the one time you do want to bait on the fast one, okay? So the breath's coming at blue, and they want to make this one as safe as possible. Look, there's 35 seconds to the second phase. So the range will whittle it down just a little, but again, at 5 seconds, go, 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 go. No hesitation. You can go to this far side, and look how far they're going because they just want to be safe because a few of them got caught early prog. And now you have a clean Herald shield. If they didn't wait, they would have had a Herald shield while moving from a breath. Very dangerous. So Herald shield is out. Burn. Everything dies. We're good to go. They might have to dodge one more time. But again, he's looking for it. Yep, so they're going to dodge one more time. Some of them are just going to go. You can just take before the breath comes, but that's choice. And that is the second scenario. So each, like, if you're red side, you need to understand those two scenarios in the bait patterns. That's what we did. And again, CCs, assign CCs, assign interrupts, knockbacks when breath is on the ad pack. All very, very, very important. Now we'll look at the harder side, which is blue side, where comp matters a lot. So this is a shaman POV, and this is going to be first breath on blue, I believe. So again, what you're going to see here is, again, look at the boots. Not as many, but that's okay. Alright. The DK mass is here. Other DKs do other things. It's whatever. But what's going to happen here is this Zealot is going to do a healing absorb cast. So they're AOing down, and they get first breath on blue, okay? So what they're going to do is they're going to see the Druids are trying to push back. The Druids are pushing, and they're beaming, and they're keeping the ads under control. And now the healing absorbs out, alright? So the healing absorbs out, and look at this. The DKs can pre-AMS. Extremely powerful. They don't even get it. But everyone else has the absorb. They're working the heal. They have assignments. One thing to note is if you're every DPS and basically everyone on the side, even the DKs if they miss AMS, need to have a weak aura that tells them when they have the healing absorb. Because if your healing absorb does not get filled, you'll instantly wipe the whole raid. So if you're a DPS player and there's a second left on the absorb and you're not healed, pop your Hellstone. Like, you can save so much prog time by doing that. So that is very important. So what you're going to see now is you're going to see our DKs running ahead, and everyone else wait. So the DK tank is just kind of like setting up their like defensives and whatever, and the Frost DK is keeping breath up, and that's literally it. Like, you want to cancel Nature's Vigil here and things like that because you don't want to break this shield. So like those two guys up there are like doing some stuff, damage to the shield, and what you want to do is you want to bait this breath here because this next Zealot has to die no matter what. It is the whole strategy of this phase. And we're going to go over the CDs when we get in them right in a second. So then you bait the breath here. Now we're saying wait, now break the shield. Everyone's in position. Everyone's ready to slam. Where's the Zealot? Where's the Zealot? Okay, I'm going to funnel all my damage into the Zealot. Kill. Do not let it cast. That was actually extremely fast. But you cannot let that thing cast. If it casts, it will put healing absorb at everyone, and it will be unhealable. So how do we do that? Well, we had meta rolling over from the first ad. Well, let's look at the first ad. Meta, Incarn, whatever. Breath, and the Mage CDs. Okay, the Mage CDs just handle are just really good on the first set in general. The second one, meta rollover, Incarn rollover, but Druids don't really do a lot to it. Like very, very little. Torch, and the Shaman like saves like I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but the Shaman saves a bunch of stuff and like Primordial waves in things like that. It's not listed here. So this actually is probably supposed to be here. I can't move it because it's read-only now, but anyway, you can update that. So you'll see, we'll go back and look at it in a second. So this is what we did again. We had extremely geared players on this side, and we have a Evoker staff as well, which is like 600-700 damage or whatever. So insane amount of burst, and we'll look at it one more time. And we're just going to go from the beginning. Waiting for breath. Do not break the shield is what's being called. Don't break. Wait for the breath. 5 seconds go. Go. Set up. Break the shield. Ranger set. Where's the Zealot? Go on the Zealot, hunt, whatever. Torches are going off. You can see the animation here. Using everything on the Zealot to burn before it casts, we're good to go. Every single time. That's the kind of prep that you need. You need to just have these things assigned for that phase. And now the Druids are typing them out. They'd like assign types and beams to each set. They coordinated with themselves. And now with this one, the breath just came. And what we're doing is we're just moving to the next set. They could have waited here. No, sorry. It just breath. So that was good. So we're dragging it over. The breath just came. And because the blue side is harder and they waited, they move to the next set here. They don't bait. And what they're doing is they're positioning themselves to bait the breath here. See how everyone's on this side where we just came from? Baiting here. So when the breath does come to blue, they just swing over. They have to move a little more than usual, but that's okay. The healing absorbs out. They'll stack here, deal with the absorb, and then go. Get the kicks, get the stuns. You know, don't let these things chain cast that much. They'll actually speed up their cast. Just an FYI. And that's blue side number 1. And look how much faster the red side got here. What happens if blue side gets breath too would be the other situation. So, first breath's going on red. And what blue's going to do here is they're going to set up. And they're going to bait here. And they're just going to keep moving. So like you're basically like just like you're going to wait sometimes. But yeah, you'll wait for the breath and then you'll go. And then again, now you're already set up on the Zealot. You don't have to do a pre-setup and wait. Just go. Burn. Good. Breath's coming. They're probably setting up to do pushes here. There's the breath. Pushes. Yep. The DKs are also gripping constantly. DKs, look at that. Grip. Get these guys in. And again, they're just going to move to the next one. And they're going to set up in a way where like it baits here. Bait. Swing over. Do one push. Get some CC. God, cast the bat. The DK needs to grip that in really bad. I don't know if they have it up. Okay, yeah, interrupt. But again, this is how the blue side works. Look at the healing absorbs. So again, knockbacks, CCs, all that, absolutely important. And if you look at here, you'll see the interrupts, enhance the shaman mage, DK on just one of them, and then DH rogue. They could have put an evoker as one of the kicks, but it's kind of hard as a healer. And then the druids would beam. We didn't have that for most. We didn't have beam for most of Prague, but they would beam certain sets. They like to work out which ones were hard, and would beam accordingly. Like each one would take a pack. So that is P1 Intermission. Extremely complicated. You need to have a vocal player on each side that understands exactly how to bait, why it's important, keeping the players in tight positions. For example, like on early Prague, like something like this going to the third ad, like it wasn't this tight and like coordinated with like positioning. So like that one was different because they baited, but you know it would be like much looser. Like this, look at how tight this is. Two guys here, completely tight, baiting here. Like early Prague, like this guy would be here, this guy would just like be here. Like you need to be a one ball unit that baits the breath absolutely where you want, push the ads, get the CCs. It is literally like it's like a high level M plus. It's like deal with the set, you know, these scenarios and make sure these things don't cast. So just really hamper on the positioning and then also like set your cooldowns for each of the packs, and you can use our sheet to help you get started. Um, let's talk P2. It's time. Okay, P2's fun. It's probably the easiest phase. Second easiest because P2 intermission. But there's a lot of things that need to be done as preparation for making sure it's an easy phase. So, in our extra resources, you'll see a tab here, and it has two tabs, or a link, and it has two tabs. All right. First one we're going to use is the shield spread. It might have been adjusted near the end a little, and I just didn't know, but this was our initial plan. We tried to move healers around to make sure everything was getting some healing, coverage, here. We're trying to cover all areas of the room. But this would be the general idea of where you're going to start for the shield spread. In Mythic, the positive and negative charges that they touch, those players will just die. So you're going to want to preset these positions, and your players are just going to need to get here every single time, basically with no problem. So what you're going to see here is he's going to go, and he's going to get in his spot. You see these inner ring players, these outer ring players. And what we do is the red people have priority at moving, and then the blue people move. So he has red, and see how this blue person stood still, and then they're going to move? That was really good. And he's going to join up with his red buddies and go in. It's really nice to escort people in, because then you get the damage buff. So one thing to note is this strategy, it's used by many guilds, but it's basically like the don't overthink it strategy. Literally, all we did is hey, these blues are kind of near each other, let's all group together, and all the reds go under the boss. So you'll see here, there's going to be, what is this, 3 camps of blues? Yeah, there's 3 camps of blues. He kind of got ditched, and I'll actually talk about why that was bad. That happens sometimes. But usually you'd have 2 to 3 camps of blues, and you won't overthink it. When inversion comes out, you need to leave immediately, and you need to have a weak aura that screams at you that you have inversion. Also, you need to understand that, hey, if I get inversion, where am I going? Obviously, if you're blue, you're just going to go in the middle. But if you're in the middle, what group am I going to? Where am I going? And the best answer is actually go to the group with the least amount of people, which is why this is a really good example. So you'll see here that this smaller group of blue people had 2 people in it, or 3 people in it. 3 people? 3 people in it, and they got ditched. If the initial aversion people went to the smaller group, he wouldn't have had the run, but it's whatever. So go to smaller groups, understand where you're going, and leave immediately. We had very few wipes to inversion, in all, not just people running each other getting their initial spots, but once the inversion started, very few wipes. You get it, you leave. You get it, you leave. It doesn't matter if you're in your cooldowns. Doesn't matter if you're in a 20-second cast. You just leave. So, here I'm calling inversion every single time. Get ready for inversion, inversion. Get ready for inversion, inversion. So we're going to talk about shield breaks. Shield breaking, pretty dang important. But not as important as you might think. Boss damage is secretly the important thing in this phase. So, shield 1, 2 arcane surges, another portal, warrior cooldowns, and wolves is kind of whatever. But that was our shield 1. The mages destroyed the shield. Actually, what we ended up doing at the very end is we even pulled the mage CDs off and threw it into the boss for more boss damage. But initially on your setup, you're going to want to look something like this. So, another thing to note is that you want to pot on pull, just to make sure that you make the check no matter what. And then you want to pot on the first shield, because you need the pots up for the last phase, and if you do it, well, the first shield's wrong. You want a pot basically off cooldown. So you pot a pull, and then off cooldown, which is like on the boss before the first shield, and then it'll linger on the shield a little, and then in the last phase. So you pot here, make sure you're doing maximum boss damage, then go into the shield, and then you're going to do the shield, and then you're going to go to your next mechanic. So this log, this should be right, is going to be your boss damage in P2 that is not looking at shield absorbs. So making sure that players are doing DPS to the boss is absolutely critical, and we'll talk about why that's important later. So, having pulling like some of the druid and the mages off the shields for us was really, really nice. But again, initially you're going to want to overstack a little and then pull off just to make sure you break the shield. The first shield will always break a little quickly because you're running second pots for some of it. The next part I want to address is the waves and the sparks of the fight. So we just got through the absorb shield, right? And now in comms, I'm saying get to your storm wave spots, which in retrospect is your absorb shield spot. But so yeah, you use like similar positioning. And what's going to happen here is this wave's going to come out, and when you get through, the longer you're in it, the longer it takes, or you'll take more ticks of the wave that does quite a bit of damage. So you want to be able to get through quickly. So we assign things like rescues for the priests and time spirals, as well as the little things like that to help players get through with taking limited damage. And you notice there's no one, I don't think, here splashed on each other. And if you are doing a rescue, you take the talent that gives you and them a shield when you rescue. So you basically don't take splash damage because of that shield, because the shield mitigates the extra damage. Now what you're going to see here is you're going to get the charge mechanic. And this charge mechanic, this one is just like heroic, but you're going to want to follow the wave. So the call is to follow the wave out. We get through, and what you're doing is the range DPS and are following the wave, because they are more likely to get targeted by this mechanic. If you look at logs, it's majority range players and like occasionally a melee. So they're following the wave out, and what you see here is you see this frame. And he is playing a pet who does a freedom. So initially he was playing the tank pet for the first phase, and I think P1 intermission too. And then he swapped pets. And the monk, the paladin, and the BM hunter are doing the freedoms. And there's a weak aura, and I think it's the liquid pack that will assign who you're freedoming. So he gets the warlock. He will use the freedom pet on the warlock. The warlock is freedomed. And you'll see success on why following the wave out is important here. So you'll see these range get it. They're almost already spread. Like look at these guys. They literally just ran backwards. They're almost spread already. Like these guys are next to each other technically. So they're spread. They're gonna move and good. And hopefully we get another example of this later where I'll tell you some other things about that mechanic. But very important to follow the charge out, and we'll go back to that later. And you see here, Grief Torch being used on the boss. Boss damage, boss damage, boss damage. Very important once you can break the shields consistently. So now we move into sparks. I'm going to give you a little hint. This is the same diagram as the other diagram, except it's turned around. Actually, there might be one or two differences, just so the healing was even in the second phase, so you don't actually want to copy 1-to-1, but it's almost all the same. But again, you want to get in your spark positions, and look how compact we are. All right, this took a while to master, but look how compact we are in the sparks. So these want to be, again, when they had 4 charges, extremely difficult. And if you look at the raid planner, we have assignments for these sparks, these last 3 ones. So we're going to get in, and we're going to clear them. And then initially, we have to go to our Stormwave spots. All right, so let's look at that again. Sparks, assign CCs, and then single purges. Stormwave spots, again, you go in the same spot every single time. He's going to get through. And now absorb shield spots. Oh, where's he going to go? Oh, back to his same spot. Everyone's going to their spot. And now they're going to get this. Let's see which one he gets. I actually don't know. Red. Okay, this is really good RNG. Look at this. So this is really good RNG because all the reds are together and they're going to move under the boss. But again, look at the blue groups. There's 2 of them. Wait, 3? There's 3 blue groups right now. 1, 2, 3. Inversion. Get ready for inversion. Try to help the small groups. Inversion, helping the small group. Nice. Get ready for inversion. Or it's gone. Okay, because we got better and better. We used to do 3, now we do 2. Again, do not overthink inversion. Just get into small groups of 3 or 4 people and just chill. One thing to note, though, very important about inversion, healers cannot get affected by it. So if you're standing in a blue group with a healer, you're just chilling. You know they'll never get inverted. You might, but they won't. So that is that part of the fight. Now this ramps up a little harder and harder every single time. So now we get out of it, and we have sparks. So I'm saying get into your spark spots. All right. He's already standing a spot. He knows where he's going. He's preset. Everyone's preset. And now we're getting sparks with wave. All right. Look how tight this is. Wave's casting right after this. So, I'm going to use my assigned CDs, and then I'm going to get to my wave spot. So, if I am a warlock, I'm going to howl, and then I'm going to get to my wave location. If I'm a mage, I'm going to ring, use blast wave, get to my spot, and then do single purges on the extra ones when I'm running to my spot. Or shaman. Harder roll, similar concept. Get to your spot. You do not want to cleave, because in the last one with the absorb shield after that, you need to have this mastered. So, getting to my spot. The tank ones always struggled a tiny bit. Going through the wave. Good. And now charges. Okay? What did we say about charges before? Follow the wave out. Getting through. And I'm saying comes, follow wave, get out, get out, get out. See, look at these range. Out, out. This is a healer, so he's more it. That's okay. Look at this. We're already pre-spread. He's safe. He's safe. He's safe. All range. Targets melee very scarcely, and I'm hoping melee gets it so I can talk about it. But if they don't, I will explain it. Now, one thing to know about this is it is your job as a player to get out of this. This player might move to make it easier for you, but you are in charge of getting out. If it's in the middle of the room on a melee, it is the melee's group's problem to get out. There's something a tank can do, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So you may gotta make sure you move out of it. So now after that, Stormwave. Get to your Stormwave positions. Stormwave positions. Let's go. Look, he's going to the same spot. Everyone's in the same spot. Alright, we get through. Spark positions. Get to your spark spot. Everyone's getting in their spot. And this is the hardest combo. Oh, so we didn't get the charge thing with the melee. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay. Let's say a melee gets it. Alright? There's a big circle around the boss. That melee is going to want to get a freedom and run out to an open area. Alright? You do have enough time, if the freedoms are instants, which they should be, to move out of their way. If the player doesn't get freedomed, the tank can stand next to them and pick up the charge. The tank barely gets affected by the dot. The dot absolutely trucks. Like 10,000% trucks. It can also stack up multiple times. So, sorry, 1 second, I'm gonna get water. 1 second, it's right here. Sorry about that, just had a fridge next to me. But the tanks can get the stack multiple times. Or sorry, any DPS or any player can get the stack multiple times. And it does a ton of damage. And it's so if the tank picks it up, they're not affected by the dot as much. And it can also spread between players. So getting out of their circles is absolutely important. But the melee player, again, they're going to want to get out, and if they spread to someone, just get out of that smaller circle. So, storm wave spots. You're going to get through the storm wave and get to your spark locations. And one more thing to talk about the charge, those players need spot healing, and quite a lot of it. Healers are going to need to readjust their positioning to make sure that they're being healed properly. So, now, this is the hardest combo of the fight. And I apologize, I was sick for like the last week, but I wanted to get this video out. So my voice might be going to crap here. But these sparks into the Azure Shield is the hardest part of this phase. So you're going to see here, is you get to your spark spot, and we just like, the call was basically throw the kitchen sink and then get to your spots. So if you look at this, it's literally everything we had left, including like some strong stuff, like ring, which you can't use in every one. And then get to your absorption spots. Throw everything, go. No hesitation. He's casting it already. And in comms, we're saying no cleave, no cleave, no cleave, no cleave, because they could just one-tap someone. So the Purgers are finishing off the extra ones. The ring's covering that tank area. That was kind of scary last time. And now we're good. And same thing. Small groups, it's whatever. Try to help the smaller groups. That guy got ditched, but it happens. He's not panicking. If you get ditched, it's literally fine. And you're just going to do everything else, and you're good to phase. Now, one thing to note, look at this boss HP. 37.9. Even after the nerfs, that is really low. So, this is what I'm talking about boss damage. Any percent you do on the boss in P2 is going to help you in P3 immensely, including us, and you'll see why. If we didn't do that P2 like that, we wouldn't have killed the boss. So, looking at the DPS cooldowns, stuff like Incarn, the druids used it on the shield like sometimes they pulled it off depending on procs. Like, the mages were doing it more onto the boss, but again, like early prog, you're going to want to like set something that looks like this and then execute it and then pull off later. But if you can min-max at the very end, like your last 10, 15 pulls of pulling one or two things off, it can make a huge difference. But that's P2. And P2 intermission here is the absolute easiest part of the whole fight. Alright, what happens in P2 intermission? It is literally just like an execution check on the basic mechanics. And you need a druid. Probably. You could probably do with something else, but druid, in my opinion, is pretty much mandatory. So, what's going to happen here? Alright? So you're going to have two groups. You're going to have a ranged group, and you're going to have a melee group. We have our hunter and evoker in the melee group because we want the breath to target the melee group no matter what on this first one. So you're going to see all the melee assigned people in one stack, and you can see them here because they're all highlighted. The Blood Death Knight tank is over here solo tanking this ad. The range is over here, kind of loose spread because they don't want to bait the breath there. And the breath's kind of weird, like it could target like here if they were more stacked. So they're stacking, the breath's coming. As soon as the breath comes, you leave. I don't care at all which way you dodge. Most people dodge this way. It doesn't matter which way you dodged, how you dodged. You need to get out instantly. If you get stunned in the breath and die in P2, that's just hard throwing. So they get out of the breath and they go back and they're still burning this ad. And you'll see what the range are doing is that they're multi-dotting this, but they're mostly hitting this other ad. So you got one at 25%, one at 63%, and then one at full. So they're going to swap and they're going to spawn ads. All right. These cannot be slowed. These cannot be slowed. These cannot be slowed. I will say that 3 times because if you slow them at all with something like Frost Shock, then they will not be easily mass grippable. If these hit another ad, it will make it do a lot more damage, and it's a huge problem. So what we're going to do here, you don't need a mass grip, but we're going to utilize what we have, and we mass grip them. And actually, this was really good because this one got out and it got ringed in, so that was a really good play. But you're going to have the majority of your raid go in the middle, mass, stun, kill. Some players, like your Frost Death Knight, might not want to go out there and maybe just like stay on the big guy. But you're going to want to kill these. Now, this is where the big split comes. So you see this preset gateway. The melee players, there's, I think there's 4 total. There's the tank, there's the DK, there's the rogue, and there's the H-Pal. They're the hit squad. So, and we'll see that for a second. So what's going to happen here is this group, anyone that isn't part of that name I just listed, is going to run out this gateway, bait the breath here, and then gateway out, because it's the largest clump of players. So the rogue died, but again, that's okay. They're in the hit squad, but the hit squad is killing this ad. As a raid leader, this is the next important call. Do not use any forms of damage that will spread, including trinkets, on these ads because they need to be rooted. So once they teleport, the ads come out. These need to be mass rooted. You're not dealing with these. So what's going to happen is they're going to group. He puts a tar trap down, which is really nice. But they're going to group up. They're going to get rooted. And they're going to stay rooted. Do not damage them the whole time. These 2 groups need to kill their ads at the same time. 4%, 21%. There's only 4 of them over there. But they're coordinating. They kill them about 3 or 4 seconds apart. That's whatever. Once these ads die, this ad empowers because you kind of need to kill them all at the same time. But just don't get hit by anything. So you bait the breath here, and now you're moving with a roar. And now you're just burning this one guy. Very easy. You throw these rings out. Keep the ads away. Don't get by a swirl. Don't get by a orb. Very simple. It's just like, just literally don't get hit. This thing will die no matter what. Now you're in the last phase. So P2 intermission is really easy. Really nothing much else to say. So that's all there is to it. Now this last phase, once the boss comes down here, you want to throw your dots on it so you see like him building resources on it. Because once it moves up to the top, it's actionable. Again, you want to use your boots here. Full damage reduction. And you lust, 3rd pot, and because you'll see here 10 minutes. 3rd pot, and use literally everything in the boss, healers, DPS, every CD, literally everything you have, because the boss is going to AFK here for a while. So, we already burned, 7%. Burn, burn, burn. Okay, now the mechanics are starting. So, the first, okay, I'll talk about the tank mechanic. The tank mechanic does a breath. Any damage that isn't mitigated on the tank will do a pulse to the rest of the raid. So, you need to set up all your tank cooldowns and externals before you get to this phase, and the tank and the healers need to execute that, because if not, you'll just one-shot the raid, and that actually happens to us on this pull, and I'll show you why it's so devastating. So this pull charge comes in, and we changed this a few times. There's a bunch of guilds that do this differently. You can like literally just do it here, and it's fine. But we do it near the gateway. We dodge the breath. This breath can go, first off, you'll get pulled in before the breath goes off. We just dodge left because why not? And but the breath can target this player. Now, if it targets the player that has the pull charge, that player in our strategy needs to go right, because that's the side of the gateway. So what we're saying here is spread, spread, spread. All right, we're trying to spread a little because charges are coming. So the idea here is to freedom these players and either have players who don't have it take the gateway or run out. And you'll see here that like he has it, so he got freedomed and it's spread, which is kind of annoying, but everyone else got out. And we'll see what a 2-stacker does. Actually, maybe he only got 1. But again, these guys need to be spot healed. So what's happening is the healers, if they don't have it, they're running out, and then they're running back the spot heal, you know, because those are the players who are actually in danger. And these tornadoes around the room, they'll heal the boss. So you want to pick them up before they hit the boss, and we'll go into more near the end. But you'll see like that. This guy just picked it up. Tank mechanic. If any TP gets hit by that or any raid us on a tank, it'll one-shot the raid. So you'll see here, it's going off, over, burst. Very small. Very, very small. Very good. So the tank barely took any extra damage. Unmitigated damage, sorry. So now we have a pull charge, and this one will go under the boss. So, but now look at this. Storm wave. The storm wave you need to go to your spots that you've assigned in P2, understand where the orientation is, make sure every raider knows what orientation you want to do with what markers, and do that. So you'll get pulled in. Storm wave spots, storm wave spots, storm wave spots. Go through. We're good to go. That's just normal breath. And then you have the, I think you have the tank mechanic after this. Yep, tank mechanic. Literally no damage. He didn't take any damage. So now this pull charge, this one goes to max melee range. And why does it go to max melee range? Well, because charges are coming. So you want to be far away so you can get out. One thing to note is that it doesn't really matter where you take this one. Like, he was just here, so we just left him here because it doesn't like matter where you are in the room to maximize uptime. So we're gonna get gripped. Charge instantly. So now everyone's stacked completely. You didn't even have time to spread out a little. And what we want to do here is we want to have certain players try to pick these up. So it got a little messy because he didn't have turtle, but the idea is to basically have 2 players pick up the charges. So let's go back. And I had a mage do it as a coverage. So you players get freedomed. Now ideally what's going to happen is you're going to want to have, since the charge jumps to the nearest player, we wanted our rogue, 2 rogues is best, but we wanted a rogue and a hunter to pick it up with their immunities, and then like sit out, like the rogue just cloaks off the dot, but the hunter sit out the dot with turtle. And so like they can just pick it up and remove the mechanic from the fight. So like it would be like a charge, a rogue, a charge, a hunter, a charge. and then the hunter and the rogue are picking up all the charges, but they could get it like the rogue got it in this one. But the idea is to have them pick up the extra charges from the players and then cloak whatever off. So you'll see here. So you see the rogue here, he's trying to pick this up, and he did. He did pick it up from the other player. So he picked up the extra charge, and now he's running out with cloak. And you see the mage blocked out here because he picked up the other one. So they picked up the charges, and then now they're just getting rid of it. And we're good to go. The mage actually picked up a 2-stack, one of them, but it's alright. So that's kind of what we did it. We just tried to dump off those charges to the other players. And now you have another pull charge coming here. And this one goes under the boss because you have a storm wave right after. And now look at this. The room is getting full. And I haven't talked about that yet. I'll talk about that last. But with the pull charge, you need to get to your storm wave spots. And now some cleaving might happen. So now he like went to his spot, realized someone was there, and like adjusted, which was good. He found an open spot, and he gets through. Now, one thing to note, like this is just for your DK players, you can just stand on the boss in AMS, or not, and DA, sorry. You stand on the boss, DA, and you don't splash anyone because no one can be under the boss and being pushed back. So we get through that. This is the tank mechanic. No damage. Storm wave. Look how congested this is now. This storm is really coming in. Just try to find an open area near your spot. Good. Okay. We only saw this a few times. It was not right. So after the storm wave here, you want to stack on a side of the gateway. So right now I'm probably yelling in comms, get the blue, get the blue, get the blue. And he's at blue. But some people didn't make it there. Ideally, you want to have every single raider stacked on this gateway. And if you don't have it, you gate out. If you do have it, you get out of the back, like at the back, and kill yourself. So, and ideally with a freedom. So he gatewayed and he's gonna move out, but they didn't get a freedom. So one of them actually clipped. The DK did a good job of getting out. So that was good. But yeah, that's the idea. And you'll see, if you look at other VODs, you'll see them doing it really cleanly, but that was really, really bad by us. Now, this is where things can go really wrong, or at least for us. So, let's go back a little. Let's talk about the tornadoes and the room. So the tornadoes, every time you pick one up, it gives you a stack. That stack will do more damage to you. So each player wants to get a certain amount of stacks to even out the damage and not have like one player with 20. The DK tank can take quite a few. But like, you know, you can look at the logs. It's probably like between like 6 and 12 is probably the average. And some classes are really, really, really good at getting it. Some are not so good at getting it. But like he has 4 stacks in this part of the fight. But if I look here, like I can see people with more stacks than that. So you really want to spread it out. And like you see like a 3-pack coming in here. So we're just watching the tornadoes right now. Like someone's gonna, or like he might pick one up here. He's gonna pick one up, I think, or someone else will. That guy picked it up, Skull. So again, you want to pick up the tornadoes. Now, for the, you don't want a tunnel vision on like, oh my god, I need to get all the tornadoes. Trust people. It's not a hard mechanic. Let the melee get them without running out. Like, trust and understand. Like, he trusted Skull to get it there. He could have taken that easily. but he's a squishy class, and someone's right here. So, and in this room, if you stand in it, it will also do, like, I think it gives you stacks as well. So being out in that area is not good. Some classes need to step out there for a second to get through the wave, but really, really not that good. Also for the waves, we assigned time spirals and rescues as well for like the priests and other people. But let's go to the last part. So we only got here like once or twice, then we killed it. So what happens here is the tank is taking damage, which means it's going to one-shot the raid. All the damage that wasn't actively mitigated did damage to the raid. And again, we only saw this like once or twice. Not trying to do any flame or anything like that. But this is why it's really important to have like CDs pre-planned, especially between your tanks and your healers. But if you're a DPS player and you see your tank is taking a lot of damage, it's going to be worth popping a defensive. And you'll see in another VOD, like some people will be popping their defensives during this time because they see the tank taking the damage. So now, if we didn't push the boss to 37.9% in P2 and we pushed it like 40 like other guilds, we're not killing this. There's no shot. There's 4 people alive. So this is why P2 damage is critical. Now, because we did so well in P2, we were able to skip the dreaded 1% wipe that most guilds get and just kill the boss. So now people are bleeding out because of the stack situation. We're trying to get reses out just for literally anything. And Grief Torch, man. Grief Torch resets. So good. But soaking tornadoes, the tanks are running laps around the boss with this Demon Hunter, getting tornadoes. And the boss is literally just going to AFK here for a while, and then you basically just need to kill it. The last mechanic is like pull and charge that goes under the boss with charges, and then the enrage. So it's basically it. But that's the third phase of Raszageth. So we'll take a second here. This video's gone forever, but just looking at like P3 real quick. Just for a second, like it's actually like I usually don't see Demon Hunters this high. I guess our Demon Hunters, okay, 1.5 mil and just Grief Torch damage. 1.5 mil and just Grief Torch damage. Yeah, Grief Torch is crazy. So again, like lining everything up for P3 and making sure that you're doing the majority of your damage like on this initial burn, you know, is really, really, really important because this is going to be the where you do like the most damage. But again, setting up your success in P2 and leading the P3 is really important. I got nothing else for Raz. You can ask me questions. There's a resource spreadsheet that will be linked in the description. I apologize for my voice and all the drinking of water and the like 10 seconds of AFK. Just been a little sick the last week. But I really wanted to get this video out to help all the guilds struggling or starting the boss now, just to get the ball rolling and get you guys in a good position. That's all I got. Good luck on Raz. It's a pretty good fight. Best of luck. And I'm out. Peace.